So let me, before I get to the brokerage side, I want to start answering some of the questions people have. I haven't been catch up with about text messages here. Anyone can let me know what question I should answer here. I'm gonna go through the top right here. Okay, just let me know. Uh, for the text link, Al, we can talk to you offline about that. We definitely have a good amount of information we share with you. Um, so you have a rental that's vacant, haven't been marketing with okay. What a no, okay. Mortgage forbearance. Okay, sure. Oh, thank you. That's a good point. So you can get a mortgage forbearing, which will help, definitely. I personally own a restaurant. We actually going through the same thing. We've been asked for mortgage company to give us a delay of the payment. Um, Oh, wonderful. That's good to know. Next
Hey,
question.
Lynn, I think we should read out the questions because the rest of the audience cannot
Oh,
see the
gotcha.
questions. Yeah, we might read
Okay.
out the whole
So let
question so
me
they
read out this
understand the
question.
context.
Sure. How do you find the tenant for corporate rental? How do the potential tenant to find you? Is there a specific platform for this, like corporate rental version of Airbnb? That's a question for Julie. Would you answer that?
Yeah, so it's not as specific as Airbnb. I have been doing this for 6 years. So when I was initially doing it on my own properties, it was more trial and error, like figuring out where to market the properties. Before, when I get really good at this, now we are comfortable doing it on behalf of other owners. But as a mixture of internet and networking of my own, I've actually got a group of relocation company, actually, believe it or not, disaster relief for insurance, and also several relocation agents. And they reach out to me first now to
Yeah.
say, what do you have? So it's a mixture of networking and advertising through internet, but very specific directed advertising where people looking for this kind of housing, whether they be companies or individuals, are trained to go and find the properties.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
So be careful when you do that. People look at the history or review. So if any of you had the challenges, you want us help, contact us. We definitely can help you through that process. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hey,
Another question,
Lynn, I
Julie, for
also
you.
want to address Alan's question. He said that he has a rental that is vacant, but hasn't been marketing it with quarantine. What is different now? I think it's important for him to start marketing the rental because we are able to really lease very quickly right now. There's no reason not to market a rental that is vacant.
Yeah,
Very good. Yeah, go ahead, Landon.
Go ahead, Landon.
lines of what she was saying. The thing is with our rentals, we actually have things that are actually set in place to allow people in to see these. We have cleaning schedules that we go for all these rentals. So the interaction is at a minimum. Like I said, we might have one agent that does a walkthrough at the very end whenever there's finally an agreement. But these people, we have a code system that we allow people in to see these properties, so you don't have to worry so much about the whole COVID spread and the quarantining itself. Are usually as soon as we get a house on the market, the day we put signs up, we get tons and tons of phone calls for
Yeah.
every single one.
So what Landon mentioned, it's very good system we call a system like with a code system, will generate a access code will valid in a couple hours. So we'll validate with a credit card with the ID, able to get people log in to see the property without agent being there. So this is a good system we use right now, implementing right now for our the property we're leasing. That worked out really well with under quarantine situation. One question, Julie, for you. Do condo HOA usually prohibit short-term rental? You're on mute, Julie.
Me. It's on a case by case basis. If you have a condo you are considering, I can actually, if you send me the HOA documents, take a look at it and give you a pretty good idea if it is allowable or not. We typically find we are looking for HOA rule to say that rental is allowed with minimum stay of, 3 months or more. If it says 6 or 12 months, it's difficult to do corporate rental. So it's a mixture. Some buildings are very strict and some they don't really care. Rental is a rental, so it's a mixture. So if you have one and you're curious about it, you can reach out to me directly. I'm sure Lynn will explain, and then I can do a little bit of research for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So any other question, feel free to type in the chat box. We're going to answer along the way. Okay. So let me get through, this is a list of points I want to talk to because it's really on people's mind. How do we still conducting our businesses here? Okay. Can a brokerage still operate in a business as a Euro manner? No, actually, we operate totally different right now. Take a lots of precautions, lots of strict guidelines for the code of conduct. Can we still do open houses? Yes and no. Okay. We still have open houses, but lots of them we do virtually showing. Also, there are 3D showing model. Also, agent can do by appointment, use the phone, do the virtual showing. If let's say people always ask me if the buyer agent right cannot show the property, can we ask the seller to do so? Absolutely. You might want to offer some sort of gift for handling that because seller had the best interest to get the property sold. So there's guidelines, property access guidelines. We're gonna have a buyer agent, buyer, and even have an inspector, appraiser to fill out before they access the property. So give a seller a sense of comfort, okay, and then also respect them. So there's a really nice guidelines we follow and a really good process we follow as well. Another common question is, can buyer terminate the purchase and sales contract due to COVID-19 and receive earnest money back? The answer is no. It's a legal binding contract. You can't just say, well, I'm a little scared of COVID-19, I'm going to cancel my contract. No, it doesn't happen that way. But you can, however, okay, execute amendment called COVID-19 addendum. Buyer seller can execute that for commercial residential property. There's a mutual agreement can be reached out by both and seller. If you lost your job, anything like that, definitely there's a way, legal way to protect you from doing that. But that need to be, the addendum need to be executed before we just go out there and just say cancel the contract and no, just blank cancellation. That makes sense? Okay. So I think that's the question we prepared and for all of you. I want to see if anyone has any other questions. If not, I want to ask my guest speaker, Kavitha, Judy, and Landon. There any point you want to talk to our investor, our clients, and just have them to get through some of the point you might have in mind still?
Yeah, I'd like to say that many people I talk to, this is an unprecedented situation that causes a lot of stress and worry.
Mm-hmm.
And in particular, I think this is a time to reflect on how we approach our future planning, how we approach our investing, and try to understand things like the stock market that are so volatile and where we tend to place a lot of our wealth management, that this time highlights how we need to have diversity as investors and really not always focus on like equity high return type situation, but focus on aspect of our portfolio that can grow steadily our wealth over time, which has always been a mantra of mine. But unfortunately, many people, they either don't get that counseling or they don't see it that way. So this is a time where it is being highlighted right now, why we need to have diversity and why we need to have assets in our portfolio that have steady conservative growth. obviously I believe real estate is one of those, or I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
So I just ask people to reflect on that and really think about the importance of that. If they have not, if they've been holding back or thinking real estate is risky, this is a time to really think, is it truly as risky as other things? You know?
Absolutely. With a
Yeah,
low interest rate,
yeah, yeah,
with
yeah,
so much money pumping into the
yeah,
market,
yeah, yeah,
I actually, believe it or not, recently I've been getting so many calls from overseas, from even from coast cities investor
yeah,
coming to Texas, investing in real estate.
right.
You all know, I think we did one presentation last month. Our company, Real International, gone through two downturn, right? 2000, what you call, I actually started real estate in 911 hit. And we
9/11,
gone
yeah,
through the last downturn, we grew all of that. In Austin market, always last one in, first one out. There's you can see the market news. There's so many opportunity coming in, and the price points also low. So I would say Texas also market almost like a highlight in the United States market. And for residential, what we do for residential investment, commercial investment, Kavitha also touch upon that. There's some asset or some investment classes offer those safer investment alternative people can talk about. It's a time to get scared, of course, but also it's a time to think about all the options and move forward, because when the market turns, open the door, the opportunities will be there. I was joking with my staff. With all the news come along, you cannot get married. You better not plan your vacation later part of the year. You're gonna work the last part of the year for the whole year worth of work. You're gonna get busy.
yeah.
So, well, thank you all, four of you. I'm so proud of you. Joined this Sunday morning, Saturday morning with us. Okay. So thank you so much. We were gonna have the information available for our investor for us to share later part of this webinar. Okay.
I think there's a question, Lynn, before we sign off.
Oh, there's one. Absolutely. Thank you. Let me read out the question. How low the interest rate right now? Do you do the refinancing for 2-2 condo? Loan amount is 10K. Okay.
I mean, 100K
Maybe
or
100K.
10K?
Oh,
Okay.
150K. There you
I
go.
hope it's not 10K.
That's a nice
Okay,
condo
wow.
to
I
buy.
was like, I want that condo.
It's a Saturday fun. So good question. The interest rate right now is, let me bring up the slides. So for right now, I would say the interest rate still stay at the 3, below 3. There's some like this United Wholesale Mortgage. They don't deal with the commercial directly. They wholesale mortgage. They deal with the mortgage company, then they pass a loan to consumer. So at this point in time, I do see a condo loan might be rate is higher and single family. I do see the mortgage is dropping. And the first one, the Fed cut the rate, the mortgage actually went up because they don't want people refinance because they can't keep up with all that. But right now, I do see that trending down. Now the question is that the right time to refinance at this point in time? You can start thinking about it, plan for it. 150,000 is a good amount of refinance you could do, bring some equity out. But it also, you could also wait, because I would say I don't expect for this time around interest rate gonna go up anytime soon. You know why, right? The corporate, how many corporate been doing those getting line of credit to buy back their stock? Lots of them. Guess what happened when the interest rate go up? The government gonna be in trouble, right? They borrow, they over leverage. Lots of corporate over leverage. So unfortunately, there's really not a way for Fed to raise the rate again to risky the economy. So I will not see the rates going to go up anytime soon. Probably, hopefully, not before my retirement. Now you know my age.
So one thing I wanted to add there is also if it's an investment property, your rates are going to be higher than if it's owner occupied property. So you're going to be almost 50 basis points higher at the very least. So that's something you should consider. Personally, I have a lot of mortgages I'm not refinancing, even though they're around 4.75, because I just don't feel that I'm going to get a very good rate for my refinance to refinance them. And also I've been paying them off for a long time, so I've reduced my interest payments on them. So refinancing means you kick up those interest payments again and not pay it off as quickly. So that's something you have to kind of work the trade-off of the closing costs and everything else and whether it's worthwhile.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So you might want to look at the no closing cost option. So personal experience, I refinanced all the property I own last downturn when Fed cut the rate. The reason I do that for two reasons. Of course, I got a lower interest rate. Second reason, I'm an investor. I know the cost of capital. So once I refinance, I extended my long term and got an equity back. I can do my investment like Kavitha mentioned for the tax lien. We earn what 10% annual return. The borrow rate is so low. The cost of capital is so low right now. It's a shame if we don't take advantage of that. So yeah, I think we all should consider that. Yeah, that's a good point. Yes, Henry mentioned the interest rates currently as low at 2.5%. So why you say it's better to hold off for the refinance rather than do it now? Good question. The rate definitely, I see some primary rate, it's a 2.5 refinance. You can start refinance now. What I'm saying is there's very selective bank offering the refinancing a low rate right now. Majority of the mortgage company, the bank, have now turned into the action. So if you look at if you wait a little bit, you're gonna have more option to shop around between bank to bank. Your fee can be lower. Of course, we all stay at home now. We have all the time on hand. You can call in different mortgage broker, get a quote on that. Absolutely. But I don't think you need a hurry. You need you get all the time you need it. So projection for this time around, last downturn average rate of 3.8, 3.9. This time it's gonna be below 3 for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Good question. I know people always you guys ask the right question because managing the finance definitely the first critical part of investment too. Make sure get a good cash flow. Okay. I see over the years of the last 20 years doing investment, I think the biggest mistake people make is several mistakes. Some people, most of my clients don't over leverage. There's some over leverage. People ask why the investor even bankrupt if they're investor. Lots of time because of over leveraging. And another, I'll have to address one thing. I've been getting a lot of client calling me said, Lynn, just get some foreclosure property. I want to get the stressed property. Be careful with that too. Okay. Not all the, you don't want to keep on chasing the stress property, the property selling at a lower rate. You really need to stick with the investment principle, which is location, 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 and balance appreciation with the cash flow. And not because this is a foreclosure and selling at a discount, it's a good investment property. Make sure you consider that. Also looking at your personal risk factors and also whether you're the one who really want to take the hammer to do the work. If not, it's going to cost you a whole lot more to do it. Maybe turn to a professional would be a better option a lot of times.
So I want to add something there as well. A lot of people I know want to chase like the class C's and the D property because they're cheap and they might get even cheaper.
Yes.
But I always remember that that comes at a price. Those tenants might not really be paying, and all your gross rents are paper rents. They don't really happen in real life. So that's something that you need to keep in mind when you're chasing those, you know, like Lynn mentioned, just like distressed properties, even the properties which have 100% occupancy on paper, the C's and the C minuses and the D's, you just don't want to chase after them in this environment because it's just those tenants might not really be paying, and you can't really evict them in this environment as well. So just be careful tiptoeing around, I mean, going around those properties.
Yeah, very good point. If you look at this one, the slides, if you look at the our property management metric, I have to say one of the reason we have such a good performance is really because we handpick the property we invest in. We've been in the awesome market for almost 20 years. We've been doing this over and over and over for downturn, upturn, different times. So we kind of know how to not only to buy right, okay, you have to buy the property right, but also you have to make sure those tenants will pay, perform well. Now you can see from the way how we get our rent collected, how the tenant performance, it's extremely well. So Kavitha mentions about different classes of a property you purchase really play a big role. So in my last talk, people ask me how's the commercial real estate. I go, there are good news and bad news. We listed one of the retail center in near West Campus UT. We even got multiple offer, get into contract again. With multiple offer, people bid up the price. So for that, yeah, people still buying. Good location, people still buying. There are actually plenty of retail center. Okay, this is people sitting there and no one buying them. So it's you have to look at the asset by asset basis.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think too, if it's a capital issue, like if you're buying something a little cheaper because this is only how much I have to put down, then we can help you get into an LLC partnership, you know, and join with other investors so you can bridge the gap and be in something that has better long-term value for you and be a percentage owner versus buying something just because this is the capital I have. The way I put it to people is it depends on how much tenant drama you want, because the cheaper the property, it invite into your life more tenant drama, and that is not a nice thing to say, but that is the truth. You know, whether the drama is whether they can pay, or whether the drama is the condition, or any number of other things, that can be more drama. You know,
Absolutely.
so if you choose your property wisely, you can actually minimize that. And this is why a lot of people turn away from real estate investing, because they've had too much tenant drama and they don't like it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
you know,
I think Julie tapped a very good 2 points. One is Real International. If you follow us, we have implemented actually 17 projects over the last 5 years. We deploy over 50 million equities. In terms of those project type, even the buy and hold, cash flow, or multifamily value add, or ground up development. What we do the best is we actually help the individual investor, be able to access to institutionalized investment they couldn't do on their own, meaning like Judy mentioned, right? So say you have 100,000, 200,000, there's no way you can hold off on buying a multifamily or retail or even do a ground-up development. But we make it available to our investor, to our own clients. They've been pretty successful. And we actually successfully exited 4 of those projects last year. Some with mass loans, some with first lending, and some with equity. The average returns are 10 to 18% a year. So definitely those help. And Judy also touched on the second point about tenant, right? Landon probably can tell you some property you just put a sign by the door. Trust me, you get tenant. That doesn't mean those are good tenants, they will pay. That's not an issue. I can always rent it. So lots of drama, but we don't want too much drama, right, Landon?
Yeah, like I said, the stuff with tenants. I mean, tenants are tenants. There's some that are going to be great. There's some that are going to be bad. we do a lot of vetting, and we usually know within the first few weeks if a tenant's going to be problematic. We try to make that the least of the worries for any owner. That's stuff that we take off head on, so it's not that big of a deal for the owner itself unless they actually do something to the property. So it's a rare occurrence anymore. But
absolutely. So Landon's smiling right now. He gave us a good metric, but behind the scene, there's tons of drama, tons of challenge. He's working through. He's our hero. When we are quarantined at home, he's running around all day and taking care of our property, taking care of corporate clients' properties. So thank you, Landon, for the good work.
I love the emergency phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. I also want to thanks for today's seminar webinar. I also want to thanks CC, Guqing, and my team behind the scene. They put a tremendous effort, put this together, organize the topic and the presentation, signing up the registration, all that. Thank you all for behind the scene doing all this work. Hope everybody who joined today with us, something useful for you to take away. Contact us, okay, and with any questions, all that, and be safe, be healthy, enjoy the beautiful weekend.